to go live.
Okay. I can just. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the call today. So excited that you're here. I am so excited about this new series that Mynoo's doing. And today is actually a really special day because we're going to be talking about water and the hidden power of water. And I've known Mynoo, I want to say 15 years now. 15 years now, and her devotion to bringing these transmissions to us is it's beyond for me, and I'm always just delighted to be part of whatever she's sharing and bringing forward. So today is the 12 building blocks of our human body and water's hidden power. Mynoo's going to share the 7 hidden power sources in water that fuel the strength and vitality of our human body. She's going to really focus on how we can leverage this understanding so that we can use water ourselves as our personal master to heal ourselves and transform our quality of aliveness, coming alive, which she always talks about as one of the, our purpose in life is to come alive. So how can we do that through water? Welcome, everybody. Let's see, let me allow a couple more people in here. Welcome, Leilani. Welcome, Vinny. A couple more people in here. Welcome, Leilani. Right, getting a little reverb here. Hey, everyone. Mynoo's getting all set up now. And today we're going to be talking about water, the 12 building blocks of our human body and water, its hidden power. Mynoo is going to share 7 hidden powers of the sources in water that fuel our strength and the vitality in our human body. How she's gonna show us how we can leverage this understanding to use water as our own personal masters, healers, so we can transform the quality of our lives and just become more alive. So it's going to be great. We're really looking forward to it, Mynoo. And
Thank you.
Yeah,
we always anchor these gatherings before, so the host, like Dea and me, or when Catherine would do it, Catherine and me, or Justin and me. And it was so powerful. Like literally we presenced the divinity of water right there in the center in all of our midst. Each one of you here is representing an archetype of humans that you've ever connected with, and yourself. So holographically, we will actually anchor at a level of knowingness the hidden power sources in water. So thank you, Dea, for hosting. So
my pleasure always.
The main thing that is different about this series is it is interactive. So Dea, you'll if you wish to, if you've got any particular questions that accumulate, you can either give me a wave or put your hand up on Zoom, and I will bring you in and we can have an interactive dialogue.
Wonderful. And if anybody else has some burning question, they can put it in the chat and I'll take a look at that as well.
Yes, as we go along. Okay.
As we go.
So let's begin. Every word counts. And when I write these things as a summary, I take great notice of the words that are coming through to describe what this session is about. The 7 hidden power sources in water that fuel the strength and vitality of a human body. I mean, water and building block. I mean, like building block, it's so flowy and fluid for it to be, for it to be even classified as a building block. And yet water is recognized as one of the 12. This is first of a 3-part series on water alone. So we're gonna first look at the power sources, how you can leverage this understanding to use water as your personal master healer and transform the quality of your aliveness. We all have healing abilities, and this is something that we've already anchored in the sessions that we've already done, that we ourselves are the best healer that we can have, because we have an intimate understanding of our physical body. And as we go deeper and deeper into these 12 building blocks, we start to understand all that we are blessed with as devices, as tools, as that which the divine has given us access to, so that we can provide medicine as required to our own bodies. Today, we are going to work with water. So let's look at the first power source that is hidden in water. The first power source that is hidden in water is quite a fundamental one, and it's the elemental energy, the energy of the elements. Everything, they say this in Sanskrit, in our Vedic tradition, that everything on this planet is made up of 6 elements: fire, water, air, earth, and ether, which is space. So the power source that water embodies within it is the elemental energy. The elemental energy itself is the energy of the creator itself, the creator himself. So it is literally the cause of all creation. And it is these elements that come together. And sometimes elementals collide when the planet is meant to rebirth itself, and something that occurred in 2020, where to enable the planet so that it could choose to not start over, but rebirth by transforming and transmutating certain aspects of it, the elementals did come together and collide, bringing together the cumulative power of the 5 elements. And as a result, we experienced space that got created simply by us humans stepping back into our homes. Air started getting purified all over the world. And in that collision arose a beautiful surprise for nature, where nature was able to reclaim itself, like literally break the pattern of annihilation and start the journey of resurgence. Water played a very important role in bringing that journey to a path where it starts to flow. And the earth anchored this choice and decision of our planet to rebirth itself. Water has the energy of the element. It embodies within it this elemental energy, the energy of creating, the energy of restoring anything that has ever been created by the creator has the ability for it to be restored, because it is a regenerative process. Creation is a regenerative process. And it's a little bit like water just removes anything that may come in the way of that creation being regenerative. So how can you use the energy of water as an element that is at the core of all creation? I remember I lived in Bali for 9 years, as many of you know, and some of you have been to my journey into miracles in Bali. And there, some of the things that we would always do is experience water blessings. We would experience water blessings in this particular place, which had these 11 jets of water coming out. Or we would go to 1 or 2 of the holy men or holy women who would give us a cleansing water's blessing. As the water blessing, and you can do it for yourself. We did it in those places because they were infused with the conscious awareness with which humans came to those places, knowing that they're actually there to receive the blessing of water. The energy of water as an element is it washes away the debris and brings flow. So if you are ever feeling cloudy, if you're ever feeling lack of certainty, if you're ever feeling overwhelmed, if you're ever feeling anything that you can't quite put your finger on, but you feel it's stuff that doesn't serve you, you can use water as an element to literally wash away the debris. You can do that by drinking it, but when you drink water and you want to power up the elemental power source of water, which basically means it interrupts your pattern of consumption and you get back into creation, which is where you're meant to be. You drink it a sip at a time. When you drink it a sip at a time, you are very consciously aware of what you're doing. It allows you to become intentional with what it is that you wish to achieve with water. So, and a lot of the time we fill up our bottles because we've been told we've got to have like 4 liters or whatever it is that your body weight says of water, and we glug it down. We don't know any better. I mean, there are times, I know I've done it, where, oh my God, I've hardly had a glass of water and now it's nighttime. So I would have 2, 3 glasses, one after the other, just to make up my quota or get as close to my quota as possible. I would wake up in the morning and glug down 2 glasses of water very rapidly just to, okay, I've got a head start here. And they do say it's really good to have 2 glasses of water when you wake up. Actually, what's important is to hydrate yourself. Just glugging down water does not necessarily mean it's hydrating you. The more you consciously connect to the power source of water, the more it activates its own power. And you actually get the benefit of that. It's akin to, having a TV dinner or having a dinner, having food whilst doing 10 other things at the same time. Again, I've done that. Breakfast time was the most active meeting time for me. I would have a meeting, I would have, talking to my family, anchoring the day, listening to voice messages, recording voice notes, looking at chats, all of that, answering emails in between morsels that have gone into my mouth. That does not make food as medicine. Yeah, food remains as fuel, but it doesn't become medicine. But our bodies have more than enough fuel anyway. So they don't necessarily need to be, dumped with a lot of food in the mornings. Water as a power source, using the element energy that it has. The main thing to remember is the elemental energy means you are actually invoking and activating the power source of water as the source of all creation. We already are the essence of the creator in our soul presence. By bringing in water, you now suddenly have a comrade. The reality is we are water. At least 70% of us is water, and some parts of us are 90% water. So we already have water within us. The moment you anchor the elemental energy power source of water, water becomes your comrade. Water is alive. It always is. Always is. You can use whatever device you want. That is, sometimes they say, oh, it just kills water. You'll see as I go through the power source. nuances of water. The water is always alive. Water in its texture, in its look, in how it operates. Literally nothing really can stop water. It will find a way, even if it means corroding the block that it has been put in its way. It is so powerful that it has the ability to dissolve anything. So you can imagine if it can dissolve physical objects, what else can it do in terms of dissolving the energetic stuff within your field that doesn't serve you? Using water's elemental energy, the water blessings that we've had in Bali, that many of us are aware of, but here's what they used to say to us, the holy men that would do these water blessings. The first step always was, it's literally clearing away stuff that doesn't serve you. And it would often begin with controls. There's this beautiful place in Bali called Tirtha Ampul, and it has got 13 jets of water. There are 2 that you don't go under, but there are others that you go under, and you do them in sequence. And it is like the place to activate the elemental energy of water. I can share a photograph or 2 that we have from our times in Bali about this particular place. So each one would represent a different side of our life as a human. I recall the first one was to do with the father energies. And this literally represented, in terms of clearing out, you would first clear out when you went into the jet, and you would clear out all forms of lineage control of the masculine. And it was father energies that actually were not in service of you. So, your father, your father's father, and all, the whole masculine lineage. And once you've done that, it's as if, and Dea, you've been there, Sarah, you've been there, and, you'll recall we would go under the jet, and, initially you're like in this huge pond of water, which has got pebbles on it. So you're walking on pebbles. Some of them may be a little bit slippery. You've got these big fishes all the way around, some of them nibbling at your legs. Actually doesn't feel that bad. It sounds pretty gruesome, but it doesn't feel that bad. And then you go under, and so there's a lot of like talk and stuff, and there are hundreds of people, because we would go there at full moon time or new moon time. And the moment you go under the jet, it takes over. It takes over. You land in a state of complete stillness. And you feel that journey that you're going in, where, and I had several issues with my dad's desire and habit to be in control. So I was always wanting to rebel. And sometimes those rebelliousness were totally not called for and didn't serve anything. They were not in my highest good. I did it because I simply had to escape from that controlling vibe. I mean, it just neutralized it completely. And I then started connecting. I don't recall having that much of a connection with my grandfather from my father's side, and didn't really know anything at all about his parents or his grandparents or anything like that. And I actually saw that lineage of mine was a lineage of teachers and master teachers and inventors and scientists. Through all those years of going and having this wonderful water blessing from this place, it was the elemental energy. That is what was being invoked and activated. Now, how can you do this for yourself? You can do this for yourself simply by, creating a bowl, which becomes like your altar, and having a bowl. I sometimes guide people to create it like an ancestral altar. And it can be your altar. It doesn't have to be about ancestors. and you bring in all the elements in that bowl. So in that bowl, you put in at least 5 rocks. And those rocks could be pebbles you might have picked up, as you went for a walk. You'll need to clean them up and put them in the bowl. That's anchoring the earth energy in it. You put in some flowers and leaves. They bring in the air energy in it. You have water already in the bowl, and you place in it some floating candles. They bring in the fire element in it. And you place it in a space in your home that brings in the ether energy, the space energy in it. The space energy literally constantly keeps you in a state of lightness of being. The fire energy is active and invoked to destroy that which doesn't serve you and activate that which does. Because it transmutates a state of that which it is destroying to what brings flow to you. The air blows away the clutter and allows you to focus. Water washes away the debris and brings flow. By bringing in all of the elements, whilst presencing the elemental energy of water itself, you start flowing in flow. When you flow in flow, you start flowing in your flow. So particularly if you're experiencing any form of health challenges, any particular diagnosis, any particular, pain or treatment that you may have gone through, that is taking you, really causing some discomfort, and you are out of your flow. Having an altar like this really helps. What you can do every morning, just literally take a spoon, and ideally, if you can, use a silver spoon or something in silver. It could even be just a silver ring. Just dip it in that water, the altar water, and just put it over your head. Just like that. You don't have to pour lots of water on it, but you just start over here, like somewhere over here, and just let it go. Only a few droplets. And what you've done there is you've brought about the mingling of the waters, water within you, and this wonderfully blessed water that has got its own elemental power source and is bringing with it the elemental energies of all the elements that are foundational, that are creation itself. This also does, with this very tiny little ritual, what it also does is it enables you to snap out of the mode of consumption that you may find yourself in. And consumption could be you being in a lot of pain, or you having a lot of concerns, or you may just be engaging in gluttony of some kind, and you can't snap out of it. You can't break that pattern. This gets you straight into creation. Consumption gives you instant gratification. This is instant gratification equivalent, and where it takes you is instantly you go into a state of creation. The moment you become a creator, the one thing you know is you are always co-creating. And that knowingness that the moment you become a creator, you are co-creating. And here you awaken to the fact that you're co-creating with the power of elements. And that keeps you in a state of creation, and you experience long-term fulfillment. I did this, by the way, and I've used it a few times. This is a little secret for parents or even grandparents, how to deal with the terrible twos. It's a reality that you experience from time to time when children just are between the age of 2 and 3, or 2 to 3.5 or so, where they know what they want, they can't quite communicate fully, so they go into a tantrum. And it sometimes becomes uncontrollable. Both my grandkids love the sound of their own voices. So their tantrums would be long, 30, 40 minutes and really loud. So I would sometimes say, oh, do you want some water? And when they're in the middle of a tantrum and they've got to a point or they've got beyond a point, but they don't actually now know what they want, then the only thing to do is to sprinkle a bit of water on them. Doing it with the intention of, using the water's elemental power source. And they don't need to get agitated about it. You just do exactly what I said. They wouldn't even know what it's doing. But it washes away the debris and brings flow. They don't immediately start smiling. And by the way, I experienced my first grandson, I didn't know this trick. So I've really been in the midst of long tantrums with him. The second one, I understood this. So it's easier to work with the second one. The only time I'm not able to do it is if I'm in the front of the car and he's sitting in the baby seat at the back and we are in the middle of a highway. That's when I'm not able to do it. But otherwise, and I'm talking about a baby, we have our own tantrums. We may choose not to express it in the way that babies do. And we do it in other ways, sometimes by just shutting ourselves out. The elemental power source of water. Remember, I talk about depression is a dip in your self-expression. How do you interrupt that pattern where you feel you cannot express yourself? And that may be you or that may be somebody else in your life. You can simply invoke the elemental energy of water. That can happen by you, if you're with someone, taking a glass of water to them, holding it in your hand, and intentionally invoking the elemental energy in water. Bring flow. Take away the debris. Water will do it. And you give that water to the other person. Don't have to tell them anything. And just hold the space for them to take a sip. It's a very beautiful thing to do to the water that you put in your water bottles. The thing is, when you hold water with this intention of invoking the elemental energies, you will actually feel it. You'll feel something happening in the center of the palm of your hands. It's like an invocation trigger begins. Let's look at some other power sources in water, and I'll make the connections as we go along. The second power source hidden in water is the seed of life. So some of you know that there was a point in my life where I was guided to paint. And I painted a collection of 13 paintings. And these 13 paintings, I found out later, were actually water paintings. I call them miracle water paintings. And each one has the power to work with water and infuse it with certain remembrances. It was in that journey of connecting those paintings to water that I really got to see water for what it is. So water itself was created as an archangel. An archangel, in its definition, as if you look up on Google, is an angel that has actually seen God and has a very specific intention. Archangel Michael is one of the very well-known angels who has the power and intention to protect and shield us. Archangel Water was an archangel to be the carrier of the seed of life. And it is as a carrier of the seed of life, wherever life was to be populated, anywhere in the universe and multiverse, water as the archangel will go there first. Now, if something is created as a carrier of the seed of life, anything that does not propagate life cannot exist in it. As a carrier of the seed of life, water can auto-correct itself, auto-clean itself even. It can be polluted with stuff, but it has the ability to bring back that remembrance of being a carrier of the seed of life. And that way it can remove the contamination that may be infused in it. And one of the paintings, I call it Miracle Bays, literally takes water back to its originating intent. So the power source of water is the originating intent of it being a carrier of the seed of life. You, as a human, with conscious awareness and conscious choice, and the strength of thought, which actually can destroy and it can also create. You have the ability to take any water and have it return to being the carrier of the seed of life. Get that remembrance back. This is the isness of water, is that it is the carrier of the seed of life. Before we can go into aliveness, what you want is to have life. And whilst you're breathing, you have been blessed with the gift of life. You already are infused. In your makeup, you are at least 70% water. And in some parts, 90% water. Brain is one of those parts, by the way. It has almost 90% water is what I'm told. So if water is a carrier of seed of life, and you have the power and ability to bring it back to its originating intent, you don't even have to hold a glass of water. You can simply hold yourself and hold that intention of the water within you, remembering its presence as an archangel. You know, I'd learned how to invoke Archangel Michael, where you basically invite Archangel Michael to be with you on your right, on your left, front and back, above and below. Protect you, shield you, keep you safe wherever you go. And you do it 3 times, Archangel Michael's protection, shielding, and keeping you safe is invoked. You are water within already. For you to invoke it, you can literally hold yourself wherever and just simply go, I invite you to be with me in your archangel presence as a carrier of the seed of life. So I know that some of you are recovering from certain significant physical interventions. Invoke water within you as a carrier of seed of life. And as you invoke water as a carrier of seed of life, you start to feel a lightness of being. There's a very important posture that you can use. Remember, we have, I used to say 62,000, but there are actually 72,000 Nadi channels that are there, right, within us. We have water within. You would not survive at all if there was no water around you. I mean, I go to Dubai and I do travel into the desert, and I've been to very, very arid places. The skin starts to break up very fast. And despite all of that, there's still water around us. So when you consciously invoke water as a carrier of the seed of life, you start to automatically autocorrect any infections, any aches and pains, any toxins within you. They start to break down and be released. If you're combining that with using food as your medicine, if you haven't already listened to, then listen to the previous recordings. If you're already starting to work with that, then you actually can release those toxins through your normal excretory channels. Here's another very important posture that you can use to support your body to work with water to detox itself. And you do this because it supports your lymphatic system, because it is that system that takes toxins out. And sometimes, if we are not feeling up to the mark, lymphatic system is not like the circulatory system. It doesn't have a pump like a heart. It pumps by your movement. And sometimes you may not have the wherewithal or ability to move, in which case you use this particular posture, which is you have these fingers and you just put them under your armpits like this. Your thumb is here, okay? And this little light and this very light pressure of your thumb on this part of your chest, and your palms, because they are being pressed down by your biceps, are connecting to some very important lymph nodes there. And you hold the intention of water becoming a carrier of the seed of life. It is water as the seed of life. As it gets activated, you invoke it with your intention. It gets activated with postures like this, or with you taking a sip of water, but posture like this, you support your lymphatic system. You can, if you're able to, and you're sitting down on where your feet are on the floor, you can do the lymphatic tap, where you go on your heel, then lift up your toes, tap your toes down, lift up your heel, tap your heel down, lift up your toes, tap your toes down, lift up your heel. And then you can just do it 30 times, holding yourself like this. You're actually adding a physiological series of currents that spread water as a carrier of seed of life. And your internal water starts to autocorrect. Some of you, like, you've got back issues right now. And a couple of you were there in the Ask Me Anything yesterday. And I was sharing that it's the muscles on either side of the back that, sometimes become weakened. If you are doing any form of circuit training or any form of weight training, they often say, have a few sips of water, because that allows your muscles to get hydrated. They tone better when you do that. So doing this, you've got your lymphatic system flowing nicely. You've already holding the intention of water becoming the carrier of the seed of life. Your muscles are now receiving this wonderful carrier of seed of life energy of water as it hydrates them. And you can relax. Always anchor this sort of a posture by cupping your hands and putting them over your knees. Some point, if time permits, during this series, I will talk about the knees. Remember how the knees hurt and they say, oh, there's, the fluid in the knees is dried up. This really is very important to get that fluidity back. So water as the power source of seed of life carrier. It's a wonderful understanding. A lot of stuff that I'm going to do in this series will initially land as data, and as guided, I'm going to ask you to do certain things so you're able to convert that data into information by just simply taking some action whilst we are here. And then as you take action and you work with this more, useful to listen to the series a few times, because you'll get different nuances from this. you will start converting that information into knowledge as you implement it. As you share it with others and you work with this together with another person, and you start sharing what you're experiencing, and you can do that even in the Beyond Meditation group, your experience of implementing this work, what effect it has, you start converting that knowledge into wisdom. And after a while, it'll become a knowing. The third power source of water is that water is omnipresent. It is omnipresent everywhere, everywhere, and anywhere, all the time, every time. It's within you, it's surrounding you. You have the earth world, and you have the water world. And you have your world, which is 124 trillion cells. Each cell has the knowledge of the entire cosmos within it. Your cells actually embody the ethereal world. And they're infused with the energy of water and earth. So water is omnipresent. So, the elemental energy, invoking that, you invoke it within you, you invoke it in a glass. Water is always evaporating as well, even from this glass. So you invoke it in this glass with conscious awareness, you start to transform your field. And as you transform your field, you're breathing in. You're breathing in, and every breath has moisture in it. Have a go at breathing in a very dry environment. It feels very different than a regular breath that you take. So you're breathing in, water is going inside you. The elemental energy of water is invoked. Water as a carrier of seed of life is invoked and activated within you. This knowingness, this is a power source. This knowingness that water is omnipresent. We talk about God is omnipresent. Water is omnipresent, and you can say water is God. And even if you don't go into that way of thinking, the fact that, and there's sufficient scientific evidence to prove that there's water around you, there's water in you. And there is a constant exchange of water that is taking place all the time, all the time. What I'm sharing here with you as the 12 building block series is you bringing your conscious awareness to that, to the omnipresence of water. So you can literally transform and clean out the environment, even if several of us, if a critical mass of us work with this knowingness of water and use our energetic prowess as the creator, recognizing ourselves as co-creators with each other, with this planet, you can literally transform so many of the issues and concerns that we hold about the environment. We can play our part actively simply by you breathing in and out with conscious awareness and intention. The fourth power source of water, 3 and 4 go together. The fourth power source of water is water, because it's a carrier and it's a carrier of seed of life. In function, it is a carrier. So as a carrier, it's very programmable. You can program it to carry anything. You can program it to carry energy signatures. You can program it with messages. And there is this beautiful book, Messages in Water, that many of the scientific community have completely disregarded. And it doesn't matter that they have, and it's fine that they have too. They have their own function to perform, and they are a great gift to us all, to get our conscious minds to feel much more together in following through certain things that have been scientifically proven. But this guy also did years, decades of research where he took photographs of ice crystals, where water was exposed to certain messages. And the messages were communicated to water in the form of words: love, hate, guilt, regret, rejoicing. And he took photographs of these crystals. And these crystals looked completely different. They looked beautiful and, like literally invigorating with these positive words. And they looked actually quite scary with the negative words. My point here is, and you can go look it up, Messages in Water. You can go look it up. And there's a lot of literature on it. And I'm sure you can order this book as well on Amazon. Given that water is programmable, and you are water, you do have water within you and you have water around you. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling, out of sorts, you can literally use your ability as the master programmer and program water with the vibrations that you wish to experience. So if you're feeling down, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling confused, it is important to get intentional about returning back to flow. So invoking the elemental energy of water, say, does that. That, okay, I really want to find flow, wash away the debris. And you can work with acknowledging all that you're experiencing. It could be anxiousness, it could be worry, it could be, stuck in a trap or unable procrastination, whatever it may be. Acknowledge all of that. Now, because you're coming from the intention of finding flow, the moment you declare, okay, all of that is there, and I unconditionally accept all that is, boom, water programming of flow is activated. It starts to deliver. And at this point, you can simply use the A to Z game. You go from A all the way to Z, sharing words of appreciation from A, then B, then C, all the way to Z. And you're now programming flow, and you flowing with so much to appreciate. And water as an elemental is invoked. And it starts to flow. And in its flowing, it becomes regenerative, and you find your flow. So knowing that water is programmable, that programmable aspect is a power source that you can use with conscious awareness. When you water plants and you allow yourself to be in the vibration of plants, the vibrational energy held in plants is okayness. If you are able to practice being present with what you are doing, as opposed to just running a shopping list of a whole multitude of things in your head, you bring to that action that you're doing with water. I mean, this is the downside of water being programmed. It is the power source that literally powerfully adds energy to whatever it may be. So if you're consciously unaware and you're walking around and working with water, watering the plants, and you're about to do something else, then that starts to take you into a spin of over busyness. Just take a few seconds every day. I mean, this could be a very simple 30-second practice. This little bit of water that's left in the glass, I'm going to go water a plant. You presence yourself in the vibration of being human, which is love, and water is flow. You pour it into a plant, which is okayness. You've now programmed your day where you are feeling okay. There's no rush. You're anchored in the creative realm. You are in flow, and you're amplifying that simply by being human. It literally is as easy and as simple as that. Water, that's programmable. You can work just with this knowingness to, that there is stuff that you'll find on the internet where they say you can read a whole book by simply, placing a glass of water on the book and then drinking it the next day. And all the knowledge in that book is yours. It really is working with this power source of water, the programmable part. You certainly will get what that cumulative collection of words in a book are actually wanting to communicate by doing this, placing a glass of water. I mean, these are all like really strange things I'm saying to you, but you can play with it, whether you believe it or not, so what, play with it. The fifth one is that water is a harmonizer. If you feel out of balance, or if you feel that you have to balance everything, all these different points of views, you have to find a balance in the midst of all of that. Water, sip by sip, harmonizes you within you. And then you come from a space of harmony as opposed to the desire of balancing, which actually keeps you out of balance. We have this thing in India. I haven't come across this abroad, but in India, when guests come to your home, the first thing you offer them is water. Mm-hmm. And I know why, because it creates harmony. Mm-hmm. And we also have a saying in Sanskrit, Atithi Devo Bhava, which is a guest is God. A guest is akin to God. So you have literally God visiting you in the form of a guest. So offering water as an offering is the elemental energy invoked. When it gets ingested by a guest, then the carrier of seed of life is activated. Recognizing the guest as God, given that each guest is at least 70% water and surrounded by water, you're anchoring the omnipresence of the energy of the creator himself. So when you have guests, if you become a little bit more conscious of welcoming them, then you're programming the water that's and we are all seated in a container of water. You're programming it with a welcoming energy. And a welcoming energy is an energy that communicates. It has an innate vibration of belonging. So everybody feels they belong. Water by itself, the first sip taken by the first guest, brings about a wave of harmony. It's a beautiful harmonizer. And nobody will ever know that you're working with all of this mystical stuff. It's quite beautiful. The sixth one is the magnetic ability of water. So, in school, they used to talk about magnets, and they would, we would have this little bar magnets, and you would put them in iron filings, and all these iron filings would go boom and get attached themselves to the magnet, right? Imagine water is like that. It's a magnet. And it's a magnet actually to extract anything that doesn't serve. So it literally goes whoosh and attracts anything that doesn't serve. Now, when that happens, like toxification or having too much acidity in the system, that happens because water just sucks it all in. You can neutralize that by earthing yourself. And then water that has extracted that which doesn't serve, when you earth yourself, those energies can flow out through your regular excretory channels. So using this understanding of water, this is a very important detoxifying posture. There's another one, there are two others that I'm going to share with you, which also help you release those toxins. And the water works with magnetizing towards it toxins in a full spectrum way: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and environmental toxins, all of them. They get sucked in by water. Because there's water that's flowing all over you, you can feel quite unwell when water does that. The idea here is to allow water to flow and release these toxins. They're not meant to be occupying your body. Water already washes away the debris and brings flow. But if it's filled with toxins, your job is to support your body physiologically to release it. And you do it, this is a very powerful way, and combined with the lymphatic dam. There's something else physiological that you can do, which is holding your thumb. So literally hold it, left thumb, hold it, put this on top, drop it in your lap. And you just sit there for 5-10 minutes, and then do the same thing with the second one. And you do it in any situation. It could be physical pain, it could be mental mental anguish, like too many thoughts, overthinking. It could be something to do with feeling a lot of emotion. It could be feeling a lot of excitement, or like you're just not able to come into your center. Use this. Very, very powerful, extremely powerful, to stop you spinning, and gets the water to release whatever it has magnetized that is not in service of your highest good. Water can release it, and it can come out of your regular channels. If you can put your feet on an earthing mat or on grass or something like that, even better. But if you can't, it doesn't matter. Do this. That helps. Finally, the seventh power source hidden in water is blessing. It is a blessing, and it's a carrier. It's a carrier, and it's a carrier of blessings. And what happens when you start, and how do you invoke this carrier of blessings? By starting to count your blessings. And when you count your blessings, you land in a state of bliss. There's so many people that I meet on this quest to find bliss. All you have to do is just start counting your blessings. By the time you get to the third blessing, water is activated. And this power source is on, the switch is flicked. and your blessings start to regenerate and they get amplified. And you are in a state of bliss unequivocally. To be in a state of bliss, simply count your blessings. And the reason why that delivers is because it invokes water, water's blessing power source. Dea, let's have any questions?
Oh my.
clarifications?
Okay. I don't know about questions, but all I can say is that was so much rich information. I felt like you brought out the divinity in water in such a beautiful way. And what I really got from it, because we're at time, so I'm just gonna kind of recap, is that the consciousness and the awareness and the intention around these hidden powers in water is really the key to activating the elemental, the seed of life, the omnipresent energy of the water, the programmable ways we can program water, harmonize, magnetize, and then really bring on the blessings. So like everything and all those little, I mean, I call them hacks, but all these little gifts you gave us with this, the bowl of the water, with our feet, you know, with our toes and our heels, and just all these things we can do. It just brings us, so we just know there's so many different ways we can activate water to heal us. And that's what I really got. I hope, I'm sure all of us have, and I probably need to listen to this again. There was just so much that you shared.
Thank you. And I feel very blessed to bring this body of work forward. You know, the bowl that I talked about, that you create, literally that bowl can become a balm. You know, you have pain somewhere, you can dip your fingers in and just rub it. It's literally like that.
Well, I'm going to make a bowl for my altar. I haven't done that yet, so I'm looking forward to doing that.
Pretty amazing. Thank you, everyone. Yes, these are very, very rich sessions and very practical. Start implementing them. And please share. In your sharing, you're actually amplifying the flow. So thank you very much. Namaste. I declare
Thank
us
you.
again.
Thank you.